everyone, Jane Applegath here, founder of the Epic Vision Zone, where we say it's your life, your story. Make it epic. Each show we offer you an inspiring person or message to bring you closer to your big dreams so that you can live your epic life now. You can listen to the audio version on your favorite app or go ahead and watch it on YouTube, and be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Jennifer Longmore is an award-winning CEO, 11-time best-selling author, and founder of Soul Journeys, the #1 Akashic Record Training School in the world. Over the past 20 years, her school has certified over 100,000 consultants and over 100 countries, and has been translated into 5 languages. Jennifer knew at a very young age that she was connected to infinite energies beyond the physical plane. At 20, she stepped fully into her power to claim her gift without apology. Jennifer is now a clear channel for Mother Malia, the great mother who comes to Earth during times of great transition like we are experiencing today. Bringing Mother Malia's profound wisdom to humanity resulted in her new book, Daily Messages from Mother Malia, the Great Mother, a spiritual guidebook to awaken your full potential and inspire individual living every day of the year. Jennifer says Mother Malia is here to restore the original codes of the land of the people, to reawaken the gold codes as they were intended. Jennifer is here to support as many light leaders as possible elevate into their sacred mission and allow millions to fuel the spread of their sacred gifts. Welcome, Jennifer. Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm looking at that picture saying, who is that person? Because, that picture was taken before this happened. And now I look, I say, oh, goodness, but yes, thank you very much for having me. It's my joy and my honor.
Well, likewise, and I am fascinated by this topic and can't wait to delve in. So give us some insight now to who is Mother Malia, the Great Mother, and why is she referred to as an ascended master?
Yes, thank you for asking. So last year during my sold out retreat in Sedona, and I share that just because I know we share the love of Sedona, I bless my clients because to as Jennifer and I woke up as Mother Malia, and it's never been the same. So they had a very different facilitator for the remainder of their retreat. But I asked her, I said, well, why are you here now? And she said, because there is imminent danger on the planet. And then 6 days later, the bombing started in Israel. And so, yes, but basically, the history books that are rare, you will rarely see anything about me, which is very interesting, and I'll tell you why in a moment. Because we know who controls the information controls the people, and the narrative is very controlled about who gets presented and various such things. So people will say to me, well, I've never heard of Mother Malia, and I say the better question is, why haven't you heard of Mother Malia? Because you see, this year I will be going to Greece in September. And in Greece, they are the steward of the bee. Mother Malia was the steward of the bee, and hence the Malia bee was named after Mother Malia. They have named an island after Mother Malia in Greece. It's called the island of Malia. They have named a palace and a bee after her, but yet you can't find anything about her in the history books. Why is that? Well, that is because I'm here to restore the original code so that we can have our unadulterated consciousness back. No more distortion, no more interference. We can usher ourselves very nicely into the new earth and restore heaven on earth, essentially, is what I will just say for ease.
Is that why they referred to her as an ascended master?
Yes. So basically, the last time, according to the history books, and we know that there's much distortion in much of the history books, but let's just pretend for argument's sake that they are being accurate. The history books will tell you that the last time I was here was 12,000 BC.
Okay.
Yes. So, but I asked her, well, why didn't you come forward before? And she said, well, I need you to, you see, I am her, but you know what I'm saying. It is fully integrated, so I will give you human examples. But I said, well, why didn't you come forward sooner? There's a lot of urgency on the planet. And she said, I needed you to figure out how to be human and blend in and build a solid reputation so that when I came in, the people will take you seriously.
Interesting. Very fascinating. Well, thank you for that insight. And yes, it does lead me to ponder why we don't know more about Mother Molia. So, absolutely, I will be on my computer researching a little more. Maybe I can find something that's fascinating. Thank you
Well,
for
you can look
sharing.
at Barack Obama names his daughter Malia. Many of them will distort the name and call their daughters. You know, there are many in the I will just say, I just say this playfully, the silly billies that think they're running the world, many of them will hijack that name. And I could go on and on about how the bee has been hijacked by the slithery beings on this planet. But perhaps if you would like to know, I can share you. But for now, I will let you, ask away, I suppose, on what you feel will be of highest service.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for that information. So, the transformation, how long have you been channeling her, and how did you fully transform into this? Because you say that you are her, and yet you have to, I understand that completely, that you have to be here in a human form for us to be able to communicate. So, give us some idea of how that happened.
Yes, well, thank you for asking. My whole life, I have been channeling. I went for my first past life regression with my parents when I was 4. And many of the adults there will come up to me and say, hello, little girl, what do you think the nature of the universe is? And I will just start channeling. And I had a walk-in experience with Malia probably about 12 years ago. And she stayed for about 6 weeks. It's a big energy to hold in the body.
Mm.
And it requires pristine conditions. You know, I have to have very clean energy in my field, I suppose. I have to be an impeccable steward of my consciousness. But my point is that she has been channeling beside me my whole life. But frankly, she had to get the human out of the way and control the mouth. You know, like I cannot swear anymore. You will hear me say a lot. I will say this with ease. That's my way of saying the human words are substandard. I cannot capture the essence adequately. So these are the words I will settle for right now. Do you know what I'm saying? Because we did not create this language. So I have to kind of work with the harmonics of the language to find the words to string together. So the easiest way to explain this is that I am a walk-in and my human is still here, but maybe about 10% of the time. And so
Mm.
I am able to, because Malia controls the mouth, the human is allowed to bring words out that match the standard of frequency that she requires to communicate, I suppose, will be the easiest way to say that. But this will be happening to many people where it's not just about living in your purpose. This is kind of like if we were to use an easy word, it's not the right word, but if we were to say that I have become the full embodiment of my oversoul, will be the easiest way to say that. But many people will be having that experience over the next several years because we are in an ascension journey. We knew why we came back here. And now we're just remembering why we came back here. And I would like to assure everyone that we have already won. And I will give you some examples of how I know we have already won the frequency war that we are in. And now we are just here to remember how we did it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting. So interesting. I have so many questions, but we'll continue on the track that we're on here. Excuse
Yeah.
me. You mentioned at the beginning a very little insight into why Mother Molia chose now to reappear. Did you want to expand a little bit more on that? You mentioned that it was a time of great change. Give us a little bit more insight there.
Yes. Well, on a deep, deep spiritual level, I would just say for ease, all of us knew what we were signing up for before we came here. And we will not ascend without the pressure cooker of the dark forces. I will just say it for ease. They are an essential part of our ascension, because if we were treating ascension like a hangnail, we would get to it when it was convenient. It will be this little thing that's an annoyance, and we'll deal with it. But because we are in such a pressure cooker, we have no choice but to deal with it. But we require this to elevate into the, I will just say, the crystalline diamonds that we came here to be. That will be the easiest way to say that. And so right now we have a lot of light leaders that are straddling the 3D, 4D reality. I use those terms, just for ease. And in order for us, I am the physical representation of what the new earth looks like. So I operate from neutrality and above. And you can see me, so you see that sometimes my eyes close because I'm holding so much joy. It contracts the muscles in my eyes and closes my eyes. I'm not channeling with my eyes closed. It's just that I have so much joy. And joy is the highest frequency to channel. It is not that joy is the highest frequency. It is that the highest frequency expresses as joy in the human condition. And so the average human can hold about 5 minutes of joy before they bounce out of joy again, because it's too big of a frequency for the body. The average light leader can hold it for about 30 minutes, and then they bounce back out. So I'm going to share something, and some people will say, oh, yes, I could do that. And I say, wonderful, I would like you to experiment with this, because Mother Malia has been very clear that that if all of the light leaders can master the art of holding joy for 3 hours straight, that is how we tip mass consciousness. Because again, we are in a frequency war. And in the frequency war, they cannot replicate consciousness. They only know how to invert it. And so when we are uniting and holding this for 3 hours minimum, I have no choice. I'm in this 24/7. Bless my husband, because he's just, I wake up in the middle of the night and I thank my bladder. I say, thank you, bladder. You're so cute. You woke me up and told me it's time to go to the bathroom. And I will giggle, and then he will giggle. And, yes, it's very funny to me. So it is, I can't judge. I can't judge. But this is the new earth, neutrality and above. So you can see how many people are still in the problem paradigm, solving problems. I don't mean systemic issues. I don't mean trauma. I'm talking about sort of self-inflicted problems, like staying in relationships we've outgrown, and then, the problems that arise from that, or staying in a job that is, suffocating us, various such things. I'm not saying that problems are necessarily easy, but problems, if we drill it right down, are really products of the programming that we're in. The more we clear the distortion of the programming, the less problems we have. I don't have the luxury of having problems. It's impossible for me to worry. And I can say that as my human self that is still present for this and kind of being the observer. I quite enjoy hanging out with Malia because I'm always happy. I have nothing to worry
Yes.
about. Yeah.
Oh, it sounds wonderful. I'm hoping she's very contagious because
Yes,
it
she
would be
is. Yes.
that.
Well, I told my
Yes.
boys that for Greece, when they come with me to Greece, because we will go this September to go and clear all of the distortions around the bee. I have to, of course, go to the island of Malia, other such things. To be around me 24/7 when I'm hosting joy, not everyone can do that. Not because there's anything wrong with them, but because all of the interference to our energetic bodies doesn't make it so easy to be around joy, And so for the people that are coming, they have already done substantial energy work, I will say, just to be ready for that, because just being around me will be activating. I get that. And then, of course, going to the sites and just all of the things that will happen is going to be a big trip. But that trip is fortifying me for the final phase of ascension, which is me taking on the Slytherins directly. I would just call it that. And so I have to be fortified by the bees. I will be sleeping with the bees, for living with them for about a week, literally living in the actual home with them, in the home with me, to get calibrated to all the frequencies I require to help all the people. Yeah.
Right. Right. When you say the bees, you mean the insect, right? The bees. Yes. Okay. I
Yes, my
wasn't.
whole life. made, yes. And I must tell you, it's remarkable because my whole life, literally my whole life, people will have made honey offerings to me. And I would think, I don't eat honey. Why is everyone giving me honey? No idea that they were seeing my sacred medicine before I was able to put all the pieces together. And but yes, I will. It is a new, well, it is an ancient thing, I shall say, but most humans aren't aware of it. But there are locations around the world. There might even be some in Arizona where you can sleep with the bees, and then the bees are
Mm.
humming because that is the hum of creation. Because the bee is the highest frequency on the planet. And so it makes sense that I go and clear the bee of any distortions because I'm essentially clearing the distortion around the creation code, and then everything else can fall from there. Yeah.
Mm. Fascinating. The science as well behind this, because the frequency, it's all. I just saw an amazing post about the bees and how they vibrate at a megahertz that used to be the standard, but way back in the day the government changed the standard. Fascinating. But needless to say, they're using bees because of their that frequency to help individuals who have PTSD, because being
Yes.
around that humming actually lowers their cognitive, their traumas, and it's a frequent. It, all of this, my
Yes.
goodness, and I just saw that the other day. So this is very serendipitous that I read that, and that
Yes.
you're going now to be with the bees. And I just thought that was fascinating. Oh my gosh. Wow. Well, we'll continue on, but thank you so much for sharing that. And yes, I do agree that without the darkness, we cannot have the light. And that's why
Yeah.
we are experiencing this now. So I completely understood what you said there. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what is her mission then? And does it have to do with what does it have to do with reawakening the gold codes? Because I am really interested in what that means.
Yes. Well, I kind of, honey is liquid gold, and honey is an original food. It is the elixir of life. You only need 1 tablespoon. If you could only live on one thing for the rest of your life, let's say there are all kind of food issues, 1 tablespoon of honey will give you all the nutrients you need on a daily basis. So the gold codes really are the original codes. When we first came to this planet as a human species, we were intact. And then we got interfered with, generation after generation, I will say. And so there's a lot of distortion around consciousness, what is truth, etc. So I am here to illuminate the truth. And most people don't want to hear the truth, frankly, because it bumps up against their cognitive dissonance, which I understand. I worked in forensics for many, many years, and so I'm used to dealing with cognitive dissonance. So, by the time 2020 came and everyone was working through their cognitive dissonance, I already knew that I could not trust, government, politicians, police, all the things. They're lovely people, by the way. I don't want to say that. But of course, in every industry, there are corrupt individuals. But I am here to restore the original codes for everyone so that they are literally living in their mission. There's literally
Mm.
no question about what is my mission, what am I here to do, etc. I'm here to clear the distortions that keep us from our full sovereignty and our full awareness. Because similar to the dark, as you mentioned, if we decided to go sailing at nighttime, there's nothing wrong with the dark. There's nothing wrong with going out on the water in the dark. It requires a different level of awareness
Mhm.
because you can't see visually the same way. So you have to use your other senses. The dark isn't always a bad thing, as you mentioned, right? But we do like to have the lighthouse to guide us back to shore so that we don't get lost and such. We need the light in the dark, absolutely. Now, the issue is that the dark ones have overstepped their contract with us, overstepped their agreement. That's why many of us have sacred rage and sacred indignation over the last few years, because we say, wait a minute, I don't think this is what we agreed to. Because there is an attempt to infiltrate. Now, I will perhaps take this opportunity as well to share why this is so important, because Yes, similar to the PTSD, the horse is the second highest frequency. And we were talking about Wyoming before, and they are rounding up all the wild horses. It is not lost on me that they are rounding up sovereignty, because that is the horse medicine. It is not lost on me that they are rounding up the sovereignty. That tells me they're about to roll out something significant, because they are withholding our medicine from us. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
So with the, if you look at the head of a bee and then you look at the crown on the Queen Elizabeth, you will see the immense amount of hijacking of the bee and the inversion of the bee. So they cut down our trees. Where are the bees putting their hives? They GMO the flowers. What are the bees pollinating? And what is the caliber of the pollen, the propolis, etc., on the honeycomb when there is that much distortion of chemical distortion? They colonize. A bee colony is about 80,000 bees. They colonize humans in the hive. We have the queen bee, of course. We have the worker bees, and then we have the drone. Well, they have distorted the drone. The drone's job is to impregnate the queen bee and to fly outside of the hive to ensure protection. Well, what have they done? They have distorted the drone to go and spy on the people and to set fires and other such things. I could give you a litany of examples of why I must clear the distortion around the bee in order to restore the creation codes. But the biggest thing to know is that the reason why the queen wants the crown on her head is because the bee's brain holds the codes of creation. That's why they capture the crown of the bee.
Interesting.
Yes.
Wow.
And
Okay.
yes, even when it was happening, when I became Mother Malia and my clients were there, someone's cell phone went off and I started laughing for an hour, and everyone laughed with me for an hour because it was so contagious. I couldn't even speak. And then I said, if that is the best they can do to replicate the sound of the bee, we have already won. Because it sounds like a mechanical bee.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, fascinating. Thank you for sharing that. I have so many questions running around in my head, but here is something that we want to understand. What is divine perfection, and how do we apply it to our daily life?
Yes, thank you for asking that. So, divine perfection is almost a different way of saying the universal laws. Everything is always working out in divine perfection, whether we realize it or not. When we resist it and we try to impose our human will upon outcomes that are already destined, I suppose will be the easiest way to say it, that is where we get resistance, that is where we have the problems. But divine perfection is basically divine love, divine truth, and divine protection, and it creates a trinity. So often what I will do is if I don't frankly want to spend energy figuring something out, and nowadays I just can't, it's not a good use of my energy. So I will just say, my human doesn't know how to deal with this. I'm going to delegate it to divine perfection, and please allow me to be clear by the end of the day, or, something like that. Because I'm busy. I have things to do. I don't want to sit and ruminate and try and solve problems in the brain. But it's in divine perfection if we really, in the truth of us, when we are living fully in the new earth, in our original coding, having reclaimed our planet, restoring heaven on earth, divine perfection is always at play. That is the natural state of us. We don't have worries because we know that divine perfection is taking care of everything. Even if we want to say that what is happening on the planet right now, that is in divine perfection. The reason why we are offended is because it has tipped now into an agenda that we didn't agree to.
Okay.
The AI agenda, the transhuman agenda, other such things that are frankly bumping up against our sacred sensibilities, I suppose I will say.
Right. Absolutely. So this is why it's so important, and it's an understanding that we need to embrace. Yes, there's absolutely that aspect as well, and understanding. So, what are the problems then and the possibilities of the paradigms? And how do
Yeah.
we shift into the possibility of a paradigm?
Wonderful. Thank you. Yeah. So, in the world that we are living in an inverted triangle of savior, sacrifice, suffering. And that is what creates our problems. So, uh, how do I say this? Uh, we are programmed to always be suffering, and we are programmed to rescue people from the suffering. And so it keeps us trapped in a never-ending feedback cycle of chasing our tail. So if we are always suffering and we always need to save people, and we always need to sacrifice something, sacrifice our health for our business, sacrifice our time for this, sacrifice our family, this is heavy programming that keeps problems alive. And then we always chase our tail. We're always on a hamster wheel of problems. And that is where many light leaders are at right now, because they build a business around, I've got to help people solve the problems. But it comes through the lens, I've got to save you because you're suffering. And if we are here to reclaim our full sovereignty, that is part of my role here, is to restore the field of sovereignty. Then if we don't view each other as sovereign to sovereign, people will stay stuck in the muck, so to speak, even though we are trying to help them out. So how we will help each other out of the muck. Imagine if we are living in a penthouse building and people come and they're in the lobby with their problems. We say, yes, come on up to the penthouse where we have full awareness, 360-degree window. We can see it all. There are no problems up here. All we see is possibility. And but if we meet them down in the lobby and we keep coddling people in the lobby of problems, we're actually doing a disservice, because it is basically learned helplessness,
Mm,
right? I'm always
right.
going to need someone to rescue me, which is the victim, persecutor, rescuer triangle.
Mm-hmm.
But we are here to restore the field of imagination, the field of possibility, and the field of sovereignty. And so when we remember that there's actually infinite possibilities available to us, then we start to recognize that we are being programmed into problems, which are limitations.
Mm,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh boy, you're 100%. We are a program, and the program, we have control over the program, but we're allowing others to program that for us. And that's something that we need to realize. Like you said, gaining sovereignty over our own programs is where the power lies, is where the elevation comes in to the, like you call them, the light leaders, and being able to
Yeah.
hold that. But yes, that was so enlightening, Jennifer, about wanting to assist individuals, because the coaching industry is huge and there's all kinds of individuals in this realm that are helping people, like you said, but you can't help them from that level because you're just feeding into their victimhood and they always need that helping hand. We have to elevate them to another level so that they're coming
Yeah.
from a sense of their own power, and they've
Yes.
reprogrammed their
Yeah.
inner light. Basically, they've turned the light switch back on. Absolutely.
Yes. Well, I will also share, thank you for that, because this might be a little bit crunchy for some of you listening, and I apologize in advance because I'm not trying to be crunchy. But I really would love us to think about the fact that if I am the new earth, I am literally the physical representation, so people get to see what are we evolving to. As I mentioned, I operate from neutrality and above, which means it is impossible for me to judge. When we are going and saving people, that is a judgment. So
Mm.
we will stay stuck in the 3D, 4D world. I have decided I don't like how you're living your life. I have decided you can do better. I have decided you're suffering. I have decided whatever I've decided, and I don't agree with what you are choosing for your life. So I'm going to throw you the life raft and yank you out of that. What we
Mm.
fail to remember is everyone has their own path, of course, And for some people, they are having certain experiences because there's certain mastery that's just required for them for their own growth, but also to be a contribution to others. But then what will happen is we don't feel good when we are judging people. Then we judge ourselves for judging people, and then we judge ourselves for judging, you see, and it's just, but we don't ever stay in judgment. Judgment is the a catalyst. Judgment instantly turns into shame, blame, or guilt, depending on uh, someone's default mode, I suppose I would say. And so that is why it feels so heavy. And that's why we are constantly chasing our tail, because we're actually in a shame spiral. Yeah.
Interesting. Yes. Shedding light on all of this is really, really empowering because
Yeah.
we have the capacity, we have the facility to learn. And that is what we're doing here, is we are learning. And all it needs is we need, like yourself, we need individuals who are here to enlighten us. So,
Yeah.
yes, thank you so much for that information. So you mentioned neutrality and why it matters. How do we live from that place daily? Because you just mentioned that we're all in a space of judgment, and we do tend to judge a lot, and then that leads to the domino effect that you just shared with us. So is there
Yeah.
anything that we can do at our human level to help us live in a place of more neutrality?
Yes, I will give you an example first of neutrality because it's a fun example and I know everyone can relate because, again, of the heavy programming. So we go to the grocery store and someone doesn't hold the door open for us.
Mm.
And we say, that person is a big meanie and they were rude. And well, we don't know if they just got a stage 4 diagnosis. We don't know if they were just served divorce papers. We don't know if they just lost their job. We don't know if they just, found out that something, right? We will tend to assume that people are doing things to us. And that is how we then judge it. We've now judged that person. They are dumb. They are mean. We do that. And then, of course, we feel bad, especially if we are light leaders. We say, oh, goodness, I'm supposed to be all love and light. And that was very judgy. Oh, goodness. And then we go through the grocery store and someone hits us with the cart by accident. But we say, they did that to us. They are dumb. They are, blah, blah, blah. We build up all of these things. In neutrality, we say, I'm walking into the grocery store. This person's walking into the grocery store. They did not hold the door open. And now I'm in the grocery store. You'd see what I'm saying. Or I'm in the grocery store and, oh, that's kind of part of it. Sometimes people bang into each other with the cart. Okay. Then we go down the chip aisle. Oh, there's a bag of Doritos. That's a neutral statement. Oh, I like the taste of Doritos. That's a neutral statement. Where it becomes judgment is we say, Doritos are bad and I am bad because I want the Doritos, right? Well, I'm using this example because it is a day-to-day example, but that's just the grocery store. Think about all day, every day. We're on social media. I can't believe that person posted that. Why did they post that? Why are they using their social media real estate for that? And we will, the social media, how people live their life. We're driving around saying, look at that bozo on the road. I'm just using human terms, of course. And so it actually is quite a buildup of judgment every day that people don't realize. I'm not
Mm.
saying living in neutrality is easy. I have no choice because it just is. It is required. It just simply is. I can say that as my human, that of course will have judged more than I realized I was judging, when I was more in my human form. But how we can shift out of that, well, just this awareness alone. Let's look at, what am I making meaning out of? Does it need to have meaning? Does it need to take up that much real estate in my brain to dissect why the person banged their card into me at the grocery store? That is the problem paradigm. But the easiest way to stay in neutrality is to say, huh, isn't that interesting? Or isn't that fascinating? I wonder what what that person is mastering right now, or I wonder what must be going on for that person that they didn't seem to see me as I was coming in the door, or whatever. Just being in a state of wonder. It is hard to judge. It's actually impossible to judge when you're in a state of wonder. And so the
Mm.
more we can go into the question, or even just saying, is enough to bring us back into neutrality.
Yes, absolutely. It's a great practice because that's what it becomes is a practice. And like you said, the awareness before you say, "Oh, I can't believe they didn't thank me for holding the door open for me." Before you say that, you
Yeah.
go, "Oh, no, no, no. That's okay. That's fine. Huh? Interesting." Like you said, from a state of wonder.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That would change so many people's attitudes and make for a much better day, I'm sure, for a lot of individuals. So thank you for that information. Now, what is our highest ascension point and how do we access that?
Yeah. So, as I mentioned, the easiest way to describe the highest ascension point is to just call it an oversoul. I don't like that term, but I use it just for ease. And the highest ascension point is the ultimate pinnacle of the evolution of the soul. I would just say for ease, complete
Okay.
soul mastery, complete soul
Mm.
integration. So we have a purpose. But then what happens after the purpose? That is the highest ascension point. It is not the same as saying highest timeline, because we hear that term, and I don't know that people really understand that. But this is literally becoming the pinnacle of the totality of your soul's mission through all time.
Mm.
And many
Okay.
people will ascend to that because that's the whole point of being here. We are all on an accelerated ascension journey, and some people will not be coming with us, and that's okay because they don't want to. They're going to leave the body because they don't want to. But for those of us that are here to anchor the light, that are here to see this all the way through, it will require us to fortify the body to hold more lights, because the higher the ascension point, the more higher the frequency of the energy that needs to be housed in the body. So we need to make sure
Mm.
that the body doesn't blow open, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Right.
To be able to hold the energy so we're not always bouncing out. Yeah.
Hmm.
I don't know if I explained that okay.
Yes, no, you did. Absolutely. I'm visualizing that. It's fascinating. So,
Yeah.
accessing that is a process, I would assume.
It will be through the joy, right? So
Yes.
people, I you're all hearing going, oh, I can do 30 minutes. Okay, wonderful. I'm excited for you and give it a shot. But I'm pretty sure that it'll be challenging, you know. But all of my clients now, they're building up to 45 minutes a day, an hour a day. And they say, I don't have 3 hours. I said, well, you can't afford to not have 3 hours over time, because it just will be. The energy will just force us all, anyways, you see. The more we resist the ascension, the more stress we're going to have in our life, because the ascension's happening at the speed that it will happen, whether we want to control the speed or not. You get what I mean? The individual ascension, but also the collective ascension. And so, ways to do that will be, well, whatever brings you joy. You know, I literally am fascinated by everything. So that's a big part of it. I just go into the energy of fascination. And
Mm.
that's why I have a handler when I'm out in public, because for example, if I fly at the airport, I just don't want the TSA agents to think I'm on crack. Or I don't want them to think that I am mentally unstable or whatever, you know, because I'm smiling all the time. I'm always going to be the happiest person in the airport. I guarantee you that. And they don't know what to do with that. But they have all been lovely, by the way, when I have flown. But I get very overwhelmed at doing a lot of these human things. My point is, every single facet of the airport is fascinating to me. The little convenience store, every single item I say, oh goodness, oh my goodness, oh look at that. I'm just fascinated by all of the creations. I love watching
Oh.
the people. I love sitting on the toilet seat. I stand up, it flushes. I say, goodness, am I in the episode of the Jetsons? Yeah, so, uh, but that
That's
is
funny.
do that for me. Being in nature, of course, because nature has no ego, so there is no judgment in nature. And being around the animals, there is no judgment with the animals. What I would like to, and this is also potentially going to be crunchy for people, but I must say it, we don't, you know, when we meditate, that actually takes us out of the present moment, even though people think they are in the present moment. Why do we meditate? Well, we want to calm the mind. Why do we want to calm the mind? Because we're living in the problem paradigm. What does the mind love to do? It loves to solve problems. So it asks you to keep feeding it problems because it loves feeling useful and solving problems. Now, the mind is useful for taking me to the fridge and showing me, oh, your fridge is empty. Probably a good time to get some groceries. Logic will kick in, right? But that's not a problem. It's just an observation. Oh, look at my fridge is empty. Oh, look, my accountant is asking for paperwork to do the taxes. Okay, great. I have to engage the logical mind. But meditation is, well, that's why also mindset work is ineffective, and particularly for light leaders, because everything is a frequency play. So most of the reason why we are not where we want to be in life, the money blocks, the etc., are actually related to trauma and programming.
Right.
But mostly trauma. And so we cannot solve trauma with mindset work. Mindset work is effective to get over the hump, I suppose. But procrastination is not a lazy person. Procrastination usually is to do with neurodivergence, where people have executive functioning issues and they cannot get started, or they cannot complete a task because tasks feel very overwhelming, or because they're in a trauma response where they're just frozen because they're frozen in trauma. So we have to de-thaw people, you see. But mindset work, this is why people feel like, oh goodness, I keep doing mindset work. It doesn't get me all that. It gets me maybe a smidge ahead, but not a lot. Because we need to now move out of problems. You see, I don't need to meditate. Why would I? I am literally engaged all the time. I have no worries. But why is that? Because I'm in neutrality and I'm in joy all the time. So I have no problems to solve. Yeah.
Wow. Sounds so simple, but
Yes.
not, because you're right.
Yeah.
We are programmed. And it was interesting because when you were mentioning that everything was joyful to you, from when you go to the airport, you're in awe. It reminded me of what we are when we're a child. Because when we are
Yes.
brought into this world, we are in awe of everything. I would sit with my nephew when he was a little boy, and he would sit in the grass, and I would talk to him about the blades of grass. And he was
Yeah.
completely fascinated by it, and the petals on a flower, and that sense of curiosity, of wonder, is how we're brought into this world. And then we're
Yeah.
conformed. We are taught to conform, and the conformity leads to all kinds of issues. But you're right, we are brought into this world with joy, with curiosity, with wonder. And yes, all you have to do is look at a child, and they can play for hours with sand. It's
Yes.
like, and there's no issue about that. Or look at a butterfly. But yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
That, and getting into that spot of wonder and joy, that for humans would take a lot of work, but obviously
Yes.
that's
And
what you're here to do.
yes, I get it, because 9 months ago, my human was running the show. That's why she had to kick me out of the way and say, nope, I'm taking over now. You're slowing things down,
Yeah.
because the awareness, I know we all get this. The awareness of who runs the world and just how distorted this world is can be very heavy, very,
Mm.
very heavy for the human, as we know. Now I am the mission. I don't have a mission. I simply am the mission. And I will leave
Mm.
that too as some food for thought for everyone, that when the mission is outside of you, it is either on a pedestal and therefore unreachable, or it is, if it's outside of you, it's a thing that we get to when it's convenient, when my visibility issues aren't crunching me up, when you get what I mean. But because I am the mission, and we're also in a place where we can't really afford to put the monkey mind before the mission anymore. You know,
Mm-hmm.
um, as I mentioned, one of the things that Mother Malia said to me was that I already had enough years on the planet as a human. I don't need to be human anymore, if that makes sense. Like, I don't need to be fixated and attached to. But what about, because when this first happened, I knew she was here forever, but the first probably 4 or 5 days, I thought, okay, maybe it'll just fade away again, we'll see. But I didn't have an opportunity. So about a month in, I thought, oh goodness, my whole life has changed. It is what it is because I've had to just be with it. But there were times where I thought, oh, I would love to just have an easy button and press it for a lunch break for an hour just to be completely human, back in my old human. Because I actually had to grieve my human, right? Because uh, the life that I thought I will have with her is no longer. My hair is different, as you can see. You can see my new pictures. I'm not allowed to wear makeup anymore. There's such things. I'm not allowed to present myself in pictures in a way that I don't dress in real life. You know what I mean? I don't wear suits in real life. Nothing wrong with suits. It's just I don't wear them. I've my whole team imploded when I got back. I my wardrobe completely changed. My friend circle changed. Some clients that had been with me for many years weren't able to handle it. They told me, we love you, but we're not used to Malia yet, and we miss Jennifer. We're still grieving Jennifer. So there was a lot of change, not bad, just was change. But there's a lot going on over the last several months. And so in the beginning, I thought, oh, can I just have a break from this? This is full on, it just never ends. And sometimes when I'm in public, like I said, I can't control this. I literally can't. That's why I like to have a handler, because it allows me to have a visual beside me to say, am I behaving human? Because I don't know that I am. Because sometimes as you see, my hands will go in public. When I was in Aruba, I call it going full Malia, where I just close my eyes and my hands are going and I'm channeling. And the poor staff and the resort they were lovely, but I'm sure they were thinking, who is that woman? And they were probably thinking, oh, that poor guy. I think they probably think that I had a stroke and my husband's this noble man that's caring for his wife who had a stroke or something. But it is, I get it. I really get it because it sounds simple, but that is the thing. If we want to bring this down to its simplest form, we are in a frequency war. So why will we think that any other thing other than raising our frequency to be grander than the frequencies that are being perpetually transmitted to us? Why will we think that upgrading our frequency to be much higher will not already be the solution? Here's the thing that I would love everyone to consider, because as I mentioned, whoever has the knowledge controls the people. And they want us, back in 2020, they wanted our attention on the world stage. They didn't care if our attention was from fear, oh my goodness, I'm going to die of a virus, or lose other family members due to a virus, or, oh my goodness, what is going on in the world because of these silly billies. But our attention is our highest currency, because what gets our attention becomes our intention. And so because I have no vibrational resonance with the world stage, I can't even follow what's on the world stage. Do you get what I mean? So I have already, just by proxy, vibrationally, I can't help it. I can no longer pay attention to what's happening on the world stage. I really have no idea, other than I'm aware that it's American election season, simply because, I know the math, but also social media, let's be honest, there's a lot going on there. But my point is that they have no control over me because they don't have my attention. Now, what will happen when millions of us withdraw our attention, our highest currency, from the world stage? Because we are living moment to moment, we are living in the possibility paradigm, which is what we came here to do. Then they will not be able to control us, because there literally will be no attention paid to them. Yes, that is a process, but you see what I'm saying? That's actually also going to be a requirement, is people are going to have to say, I no longer have vibrational resonance with what's happening on the world stage.
That is going to take a lot of practice, because a lot of individuals are addicted to that
Yeah.
frequency, that resonance. They like it. It's like some people are addicted to drama, and they find
Yeah.
drama, and if they don't find it, they make it up, because I know
Yeah.
people like that, and I'm like, why is everything so dramatic in your life? I said, you're blowing it out of proportion. It's like,
Yes.
it's because I understand it now. It's because they're addicted to that charge. It's just like those
Yeah.
who are addicted to, it's an addiction. It's an habitual addiction. It's no different than, being addicted to a substance. In a way, that's exactly what it is. But yes, I agree 100%. When they don't have our attention, they will lose their power over the program. That's exactly
Yes.
what it is.
And
Absolutely.
I get it. I'm not saying, oh, all of a sudden, in 6 months, we're going to plan it. It's going to be a journey. But it has to start somewhere. So it has to start with, what am I going to do to raise my frequency? Where am I going to start being a greater steward of my consciousness? So maybe I'm not going to binge 8 hours of Netflix, recognizing that I'm just being programmed if I watch it. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I'll go to 1 hour a day. I'm just giving some examples. Where else? Like, to give you another example, and I share this freely because I just find it quite comical. I am now being audited for the 6th time since 2021 because I spoke out very openly when I was more in my human about what was happening in the world. And they're not auditing me because I owe them money. They're auditing me because they owe me money. And the best way for them to get money is to come after me for quarterly taxes. So I just got home last week. I came home to a 5th letter. They're auditing me for a business I don't even have. Never had. I don't own the business. I don't know what they're talking about. So I email my auditor because we now are on a first name basis because I have to talk to her so much, you see,
Yeah.
which is interesting, by the way, to talk to a government auditor like this. It's very uncomfortable for me. So I message her. I say, hi, what's this about? I'm confused. I'm happy to give you documents, but I don't know what this is for. Oh, yeah, I guess we got the wrong information, etc. And I said, well, am I to understand then that it is possible that all of the other auditing is actually inaccurate because you guys are not storing your information properly? Guess what happens? Next day, I now have my 6th audit. Now they're auditing my 2023 taxes that they have already audited. Right?
Yeah.
I don't mean that's going to everyone, but I know why they're doing that. I know they are trying to distract me because they think if my energy is over here sorting a bunch of fiddly bits, that I won't be spreading the light, sharing the mission. But what they don't realize is I'm a good multitasker, and I have a very awake and aware accountant who will handle this as he has been doing, and it doesn't faze me because I know I've done nothing wrong, but I know how to outcreate the system. I do know how to outcreate it. So I will, if they want to keep coming for me, I will just keep finding new and creative ways to bob and weave the silly business, I suppose. But yes,
Right.
there's a lot. We have a lot of systemic issues that need to be shifted. We have there's a greater degree of sovereignty that we all need to claim, but still be within the system because we kind of don't have a choice, right? But what I do want to share as well is that these computers and phones that we are on are lithium powered. And there's some sort of distortion that they are doing, giving people lithium poisoning to the brain. So if I'm on my phone all the time, the lithium gets distorted somehow in the device. It goes into my optic nerve. It affects different parts of my brain and starts to really mess with my ability to think clearly, to be a zombie. Because if you have lithium poisoning, like if someone has manic depression, which is what it is used for, if they are over medicated with lithium, they become a zombie, aka zombie apocalypse. Why are they using lithium batteries in our phones and our computers?
So
All
bad
coming
for
for the content, all trying to suppress. Yeah.
right. And for that young generation that is born with them pretty much in their hands, it's not a good it's not a good way to be for sure. But yes, absolutely, I could see why you're here. So thank you for
Yeah.
that information, Jennifer. What can light leaders do then to support the collective ascension?
Well, do your best to stay in neutrality, like we shared. It's really time for the light leaders to leave the Savior Sacrifice Suffering program. Look for the evidence of that in your business. Yes, we want to help people move through their problems, but we don't want to create learned helplessness and keep them in their problems. We don't want to view them as suffering. We just say, oh, you perceive that as a problem. Okay, come with me. We're going to go deal with that in the penthouse and give you a different perspective, you know. We want to get, and that inverted triangle, as I mentioned, feeds the broken healer paradigm. Right? So people are broken and I have to be broke. If I'm going to be a legitimate healer, I can't charge money for this. I have to be broke because it's noble to be broke, etc. No, money is the language spoken here, whether we like it or not. That is the language spoken here. We already know they're coming for the consciousness community. They have invaded it already with heavy distortion. And so if we will like to reclaim our consciousness, reclaim our original codes, then we're going to have to look for all of the ways that we are being distorted and make sure that we're not perpetuating that. We're going to need to be in neutrality. We're going to need to practice holding greater levels of joy. Again, I know that all sounds very simple, but think about it. Am I going to be treating people nicer if I'm in joy 3 hours a day, right? Then I'm not uh, flopping my trauma onto other people, and then they're passing it on and passing it on, you know? Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you for that information. So, what are the ways that people can work with you right now to accelerate their own ascensions? What are some
Oh,
of the
thank you
ways that
for
they can work with you? Mm-hmm.
yes. Well, I have what's called a Hive membership, and that's where I do weekly transmissions to help restore the original codes, you know, because sadly there were so many distortions. I hate to say that, you know. And then I have a live Q&A once a month. So people can ask me any question, you know, what's the nature of the universe, or what's, you know, whatever they would like to ask. And so that is a very affordable way for people to connect with me. I don't offer any one-on-one right now because I am have a very large wait list. But I do have a program called I have a program called the Golden Channel, which is where I teach people how to become clear channels. And then when you become a clear channel, you become a clear channel for money anyways, because you're holding more energy. You know, you're able to bring energy into your body. Many light leaders think they are masters of energy, but they are masters of reading and accessing energy, twirling it around their finger, you know, but they're not, they haven't mastered to bring it into the body because their trauma doesn't let them stay in their body. That's why, right? So the finishing piece, in order to sort of get a PhD, I would say, for ease in energy mastery, it does require really learning how to bring energy and hold it in the body and create spaciousness and be a clear
Mm-hmm.
channel. So that is another way that people can work with me. But yes, we have many free gifts on the site, and of course I'm always on the social media and such because and you know, we just try to spread the love as much as we can because, you know, there's great urgency. I know you're feeling that too, right? There's just this sense of, oh goodness, we've got to rev it up here. So thank you for asking that, because it is my joy, my honor to serve everyone. And I'm also happy to help people decide, you know, what is the best place for me to be.
So, Jennifer, what words would you like to leave us with that would wrap up the interview?
Okay. I suppose what I will love everyone to remember is that you are the ceremony and the celebration, and anything
Mm.
that tells you otherwise is a distortion and a program. So if you can remember that, and anytime you don't feel that, you already know there's a program at play, and then you can get into what I call sacred indignation and say, "Not today, Satan." I'm just saying that jokingly, of course. You know, not today. You're not going to program me today. I am already whole as I am. There's nothing wrong with me. I am the ceremony and the celebration. And then that allows us to require more of others as well, about how people interact with us as well in our world, remembering that we are the prize, we are the gift, and that we matter, and we're here for a reason.
Yes, absolutely. That was wonderful. Thank you so much. And because we are here on the Epic Vision Zone, Jennifer, I have one last question for you. If your life were an epic story, which I believe it is, what would the title be?
Oh goodness, that's my title. I'm just kidding. I say that all the time. Oh, I would say miracles really do exist.
Mm, Beautiful.
Yeah.
I do love Oh Goodness, so I have to say I would pick that up because I'd be
Oh,
like, okay, what's inside this book? Oh goodness, miracles really do exist. Absolutely. Well, thank you for that. And thank you so much for sharing all of this information and joining us here today. Once again, for information and to connect with Jennifer, you can go to the Epic Vision Zone bio pages where you will find all of her social media and direct contact information. And be sure to follow me on Instagram at Jane Applegath and visit me on my website at janeapplegath.com, where you can access your free downloads, Creative Power, and Vision Play. This is the Epic Vision Zone, and I am here to send you much joy and love, transforming your dreams into epic success.